HBCU pride. I Bleav in HBCU culture, and I Bleav in HBCU sports. This is what our show is about. HBCU pride with Tim McKain and Derrick Hall. Hello, everyone. You're listening to Bleav in HBCUs with Tim McKain and Derrick Hall.
I'm Derrick Hall, Tim McKain.
Yes, sir. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, man, I can't complain, man. I'm just living life. That's all, man. That's all I can ask for.
I want to really just talk about, like, this new program that I've been doing research on called HBCU Jump. Now, I sent you some links on HBCU Jump. HBCU Jump is basically an organization run by alumni, former student athletes who want to encourage young people to join HBCUs. Someone who was a former student athlete yourself, what do you think of HBCU Jump and what they're trying to do?
So you said the former alumni is getting people to join HBCUs?
Right, they're trying to encourage, they're trying to advocate for students to join HBCU programs.
Man, it's funny thing is, right, HBCU doesn't really get the knowledge that it deserves. So when you definitely have alumni pouring back into the school, it makes the school look better. So that's a blessing. That's awesome for alumni. When alumni get back, it definitely feels good to the school and to the person they get back to most.
I totally agree. I actually think it's almost like an unwritten rule where people feel like alumni don't support their universities. You ever get that feeling where some people feel like, at HBCUs they don't get their support from alumni? But it's an example right here where you see alumni doing it. So people can't make that statement and say where people don't give back to HBCUs that people aren't trying to get new athletes, new students there.
Yeah, when people do say that, there's always a story behind why they kind of probably feel slighted by the school, or probably feel like they didn't do their best at school. So they always have to like, yo, he not doing this. It's always negativity when they feel like they should have done more.
I agree with that, man.
Like when people, like it's in all that society, when people do not like something, they feel like they should be one doing it, don't know how to do it.
Got you. Well, I definitely want to get the founder of the HBCU Jump on here one day. I'm looking through my notes right quick, trying to figure out what the brother's name is. But we're going to try to get him on the show one of these days.
Definitely.
Just talking about HBCU Jump and seeing the progress that we'll see from it. So one of the other topics that we want to talk about is, kind of furthering on the discussion of what we talked about last week when it comes to the myth of HBCU student athletes not going professional. Now, from a basketball perspective, there really only the two main collegiate athletes that made it to the NBA was Kyle O'Quinn and Robert Covington. Kyle O'Quinn was drafted later in the second round, and Robert Covington actually had to go a little bit. He had the harder way. He actually had to. He didn't get drafted. He had to get signed to 10-day contracts, and he had to, play in the G League and etc. But then he went on to sign with the Timberwolves and had a massive contract for like $117 million. So Robert Covington definitely is the trailblazer of like HBCU athletes going to the professional ranks. What do you think of these two brothers' accomplishments coming from an HBCU?
I think it's great. I think the biggest thing, I think more basketball players can make it to the league, but the thing is they need more exposure. They need the big schools to schedule them so they can say, like, I think the biggest thing they can say, yo, your competition level. Hey, well, tell these big schools to stop running from that work and put us on the schedule, right, wrong, or indifferent. Like, if we lose by 30 or we win by 30, like it don't really matter. I think the biggest thing is them getting the exposure that they need. Like Yeah, and it helps. Like, yo, I don't think people from HBCU mind working hard. Like, okay, I'll work hard. You don't believe in me? I'm gonna work 10 times as hard as your first round draft pick. But that's just the issue that we have, is less exposure. So hopefully, we talked about last week with Maker, those big schools are going to need to play Howard for him to get the recognition, for him to bring more people to Howard. Is it going to be hard? Yes, it's going to be hard. Schools like Nebraska, just getting Nebraska is on my mind for some reason. They do not want to lose to an HBCU. They do not want to lose. This schools, they do not want to lose to an HBCU school. It's just something like they'd rather say they didn't want to play us than take that loss.
I feel you. I agree. I mean, the one thing about Kyle O'Quinn talked about how, like, his team had to go to the NCAA tournament. And when they did, that's when he really got his big recognition. I mean, and then the one thing I noticed about Kyle O'Quinn too, and this is something that I think HBCUs could look at too, was Kyle O'Quinn was interesting because he only had 2 offers in high school, and he was like a late starter. Some of these, I think getting some of these blue chip recruits, getting some of these 3-star athletes that might be like, I would say blue chips, or like people who starting late. I think those are key athletes to get, prime example athletes to get at potentially HBCU programs.
Yeah, most definitely.
So that's what I Bleav on that. But our next conversation, man, I want to dive into the top 5, your top 5, my top 5 HBCU players of all time. That includes their professional and their collegiate careers. So if you had your top 5 HBCU players, ranking 1 through 5, no, 5 through 1, who's on your list?
So it's crazy.
A tough list.
It is a tough list. I was like, yo, 5. But the first person popped in my name was Jerry Rice.
Okay. Is he number 1 or is he number 5?
Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1 would be Jerry Rice. He dominated in the NFL, and he was good at Mississippi Valley. So, and then number 2 would be Walter Payton. We went to Jackson State. And his legacy speaks for itself.
Facts.
And then, I had trouble, like, then I had a little brain freeze. Actually, I thought about number 3, me and Joe Green with the Tech Wing and Texas Southern.
Interesting.
Joe Green. Me and Joe Green, he was feared on that Steelers defense.
He was.
He was feared on that Steelers defense. And so then I went Deacon Jones. Deacon Jones, he created a pass rush move with the slap to the helmet. Like, if you really, like, I sometimes when I watch NFL Network, he be on. I still to this day look at that finger how it be this cop to the top. Yo, and he ain't care. So Deacon Jones, and my last one would be, I will probably go with Steve McNair.
Wow. Okay.
Steve McNair. Like, he was a beast at Alcorn State. He was a beast in the league. Like, most people probably wouldn't pick the 5th, won't pick him. But yeah, Steve McNair, number 5.
I like that, man. You got a strong list, man. That's a strong list, brother.
But most people will have Walter Payton number 1. 1 and 2 probably Walter and Jerry throughout.
Yeah, that's.
1 and 2.
I mean, you can really go either or with those 2. I mean, to be honest with you, because it's like Walter Payton was. I mean, he's just greatness. I mean, he's just great. Walter Payton, in a way, is his own level of greatness, and Jerry Rice plays a more dependent role than Walter Payton did. And what I mean by that is he had to throw the ball. He had to get the ball. You know what I'm saying? He had to receive the ball. Whereas like Walter Payton had to get through way more people to get yards than a Jerry Rice would have.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? So
right, most definitely.
So so it's, but everybody, but you know what? People say Jerry Rice is the greatest NFL player of all
He
time.
is. I don't think none of his records will be broken.
No.
Jerry's like, how many yards does Jerry got? Like 22,000?
Yeah, he's got 22,895 yards.
Versus what does Julio got?
That I am not aware of at the moment. I have to look that up real quick. But I don't think it's anywhere near Jerry Rice's. I mean, he'd have to stay healthy for a long time. He'd have to be in the league for a long time. And
Julio has 12,000 right now, right?
Man, how old is he?
30.
He's 31. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
so he guaranteed 1,200, 1,300 yards, right? For the next 5 years, you can guarantee Julio, he's in his prime. For the next, I say 3 years right now, he can get you 1,500 yards.
Right.
Right in the next 3 years. That 34, 35 season, he can get you 1,100, 1,200 yards. And, I think he can do it. Julio can do it.
But you see, Jerry Rice had two great quarterbacks. You see, Matt Ryan kind of is on, Matt Ryan was like on the deep end. He wasn't on the rising up. I mean, Jerry Rice had two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, throwing him the football. So I think Jerry Rice was in a unique situation.
Right.
Julio, and he's only got 57 touchdowns. Jerry Rice has 197, bro.
Look, he'll never catch him a touchdown.
Yeah, that's incredible, bro. But I definitely – so you got to look at Jerry Rice as the GOAT purely based on stats. Jerry Rice, to me, is the GOAT based on performance and stats. Kind of like if someone were to say Wilt Chamberlain is the GOAT based on stats.
And maybe Larry can catch him too as well, though.
But Larry Fitzgerald, he just didn't have the quarterbacks.
But Larry got 1,700 yards, right? He's 36. Okay. He's 36, right?
How many touchdowns?
He got 120. He ain't never catching touchdowns. But Larry got a solid 5 years left in him, right? Right now, let me tell you why. He got a solid 5 years left. He's not the number one receiver now. D-Hop is.
Who's the quarterback?
Kyler Murray. Listen. You put Larry in a slot. Okay. Larry in the slot for the next 5 years can get you 1,200 yards. Because it's easy to get 1,000 yards in the league. Larry got the best hands on the team.
Okay,
you can get him 70 yards a game. 70 times 16 is well over 1,000. I can't do the math right now. But he can do it.
I think the difference, though, is like I know a lot of quarterbacks, right? They push the envelope when it comes to like receiving. When it comes to like playing old. But let's just be honest about it. When you're a receiver, I mean, you take hits, and I know the league is soft now when it comes to the offense, but it's just a lot of toll that takes on the body when you're already 36 years old. And for years, I mean, really, to be honest with you, Larry Fitzgerald could have definitely had even more numbers if he had a reliable quarterback. But ever since Kurt Warner retired, I mean, he just didn't have the same numbers. But he definitely, I mean, he's right up there with Jerry Rice, in my opinion, because the level of talent that he had and the amount of production that he had, even with bad quarterbacks. I mean, he's just one of those guys. But 5 years, I give him 2 years. And then, I mean, because it's a factor of how much do you love the game. You put your heart, blood, and soul into this thing. And it's just like, how much more can one take? Especially if you haven't won anything. Like, if you're Tom Brady and you won 6 championships, you're just greedy. You're just trying to win some more. Larry Fitzgerald hasn't really won any. And let's be honest about it. It's going to take a few years for the Cardinals to even become great.
So what Larry had last year? Larry had, let me look at the stats. I should have pulled it up, but we get it very often we get to talking sports. So Larry last year had 800, right? That's not bad.
That's great.
But that 800 this year will be so much easier because D-Hop is there.
That's great. To me, that's great because he had a young quarterback. You know what I mean? He had a young quarterback. I mean, I don't think those are Larry Fitzgerald numbers, and they're pedestrian from his standpoint and from a lot of standpoints. But from a young quarterback perspective, I get it. I don't think he'll do it. But going back to our top five, I'm gonna introduce my top five. Mine's is gonna be a little bit different than yours. Yours is great. So I want to give you your congrats. But what I'm gonna do for I'm gonna go from 5 to 1. So I'm gonna go Athea Gibson, number 5.
Keep talking. I step away from the camera real second, but keep talking.
I got you. Athea Gibson, number 5. Athea Gibson was the first African American woman to win the Wimbledon. She won the French Open. She is definitely somebody who she went to Florida A&M, and she's definitely somebody who won multiple tennis championships and should be more regarded as being a black woman doing her thing, dominating the sport of tennis for years. When people think about Serena and Venus Williams, they also need to think about Athea Gibson and what she's done for and what she's done through the sport. So that's my number 5. My number 4 is Deacon Jones. Now, Deacon Jones is a little. What you say there?
Go ahead, Deacon Jones.
I said Deacon Jones, number 4. Deacon Jones is a little interesting because he went to 2 HBCUs. He went to South Carolina State and then Mississippi Valley State. And for South Carolina State, he actually got kicked off the team because he joined the civil rights movement. He was in protest. He actually was participated in the civil rights movement. And South Carolina State, a black college, did not allow it, which was interesting at the time because I remember talking to somebody who was a part of the sit-in movement for North Carolina A&T, and it actually was controversial at the time for students to participate in the sit-ins. And the chancellors actually could say whether or not they agree with the students or not. And fortunately, A&T's chancellor at the time allowed or agreed with the students to be a part of the sit-in movements. But South Carolina State, they didn't allow that. So they kicked him off the team for South Carolina State. And then he went, but, no disrespect to South Carolina State. The chancellor probably had his reasons or whatever. But nonetheless, he got kicked off because he joined the civil rights movement. He then went to Mississippi Valley State because one of the coaches from South Carolina State was going to join Mississippi Valley State. And so he went there and he killed it there. But one of the reasons why I picked Deacon Jones is because, he was the king of sacks. This brother was a sack machine before sacks even started. Sacks was recorded in 1982. And this brother was killing people. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know this, but in 1967, Derrick, the brother had 27 sacks unofficially in a 14-game season. That's more than Michael Strahan had in 16 games. But that's unofficially, of course.
Everybody don't like Michael Strahan record, man.
Yeah, that's true too. Because Brett Favre did sit down on that one, on the last one. That's true.
And I don't think Brett Favre gave him up, but
don't get it twisted. Brett Favre would have look. He wasn't just somebody who would just stay in the pocket. He would move a little bit. He wasn't like Aaron Rodgers. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah, but he's not Michael Vick either. So him sitting down on the sack, it's like, yo, I'm gonna let him fight another day. He got me.
They're friends, bro. I just think that they were friends. They were friends at the time. They were friendly. I think he knew about the sack record, but just unofficially, Deacon Jones had 27 sacks in 1967. He had 173 sacks. He was a part of one of the greatest defenses of all time. To me, that's why he's number 4. Number 3, I got Earl the Pearl Monroe. I got Black Jesus. He averaged 26 points per game at Winston-Salem State. Winston-Salem State. And then he had, I think he had 18 points as a professional for the New York Knicks and then for the Baltimore Bullets. This brother, he was everything on the court. I mean, Black Jesus was the man. So I gotta go with Black Jesus. I want to put a little basketball in it. You know, I mean, I couldn't just go.
I see. So when I got the list, I just thought directly about football.
Football. I did too.
And I didn't really pay. So football. That's a lot. I could pick from there, and my mind. And plus, I'm a football guy. My mind went straight to football. Like, I should have thought thoroughly on. Earl probably would have been on my list too, though.
I mean, you got Earl, you got Sam Jones from North Carolina Central, Cleo Hill. You got a lot of great players who played at basketball. But football, to be honest with you, football in a lot of ways is more modern. And HBCU sports recently has had more success from HBCU programs when it comes to like great players who came there. I mean, like you said, Jerry Rice went to an HBCU, Walter Payton, Shannon Sharp, Mel Blount from the Steelers, just like you. So, I mean, the list goes on, but we got to give credit also to HBCU basketball players because there's three HBCU players that was a part of the original NBA top 50. That's going to be Willis Reed, it's going to be Sam Jones, and it's going to be Earl the Pearl Monroe, Black Jesus, Black Magic. You know what I mean, though? So I got to put him down number 3. Number 2 and number 1 is just like your number 1 and number 2. I got Walter Payton. I got Sweetness at number 2. And then I got Jerry Rice at number 1. But I'm conflicted with the ranking only because the running back is my favorite position in football. Because I think it's a position that used to be about toughness. I mean, the running back used to be the anchor of the offense. I mean, when you talk about the Jim Browns, when you talk about the Walter Paytons, the Emmitt Smiths of the world, like that's what the running back position used to mean. And just the physicality of it, that to me is what. So I could have either went, either way, because Walter Payton did break Jim Brown's rushing record. Okay. And then he didn't really do that well in the Super Bowl. He didn't get a touchdown, even though he wanted one. Mike Dicker didn't give him that touchdown. And Jerry Rice had a much better playoff resume. He had a much better Super Bowl resume. And from a numbers perception, I mean, this brother had 197 touchdowns. He had 22,000 plus yards, and his brother played 20 seasons. I mean, who does that? He's like an iron, Jerry Rice.
He's like iron, but Larry Legend is on his way, man.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah.
Larry Legend. Larry been in the league since 2004. That's what, 16 years? 16 years. He got 1,700. He's going to break the record, the yards record. I don't know about the receptions.
Yeah, that's tough. I think it's close. I think he has the potential to do it, especially if Kyler Murray just goes crazy throwing the ball to him. But 800 yards a season is not going to get it.
Well, he can. Okay. He got – Jerry Rice got 1,549 receptions. Larry got 1,378. So it's doable.
It's doable. It just depends, man. And also to me, this is how I look at it. Jerry Rice is Michael Jordan. Larry Fitzgerald is Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? Like, he learned from the best, so the numbers are going to be similar. You know what I mean? Like, the body of work.
He can definitely catch him in receptions. In 3 years, if he averaged 60 catches a year for 3 years, he can break the reception record.
Potentially, brother. Potentially. So, hey, man, just like we have a top 5, I want to do you have any honorary people who you want to mention? Like any honorary, let's say we have 3 honorary people. We have your top 5. What's your honorary 3 people?
Going back, I would definitely honor Earl the Pearl, probably Mel Blunt, and I would go with like a guy that's doing it now.
Okay.
He's part of my fraternity, and I'm gonna go with Darius Leonard to just I say his name
for the Colts.
The Colts. He went to South Carolina State a couple of years ago, and he's slowly becoming the best linebacker in the game.
Yeah, he led the league in tackles like last year.
Tackles rookie year. I think his rookie year, and he slipped last year. But he's like top 3. I would give the best linebacker to Bobby Wagner, and then he's probably right behind Bobby Wagner.
Because Luke Kuechly's gone.
There's would have been Luke Wagner, Darius Leonard. And
I like that.
I give Darius Leonard some love. The maniac.
I like that, man. Respect, brother. Respect. So I got you know what, bro? My first honorary person is probably gonna be. I was around this campus all the time as a kid. I got love for this campus. North Carolina Central's Sam Jones. Played for the Boston Celtics back in the 60s. Killed the game. Won multiple championships. I got to give it to Sam Jones. Then I got, of course, Mel Blunt. Mel Blunt was a beast, a football player, a heck of a football player for the Steelers. And then I got Art Shell. And this is the reason why I have Art Shell. Art Shell was one of the cornerstones of that Oakland Raiders offense. Most people that when they think of the Raiders, especially the 70s, they think of that destructive defense. But they wouldn't have been who they were without the heart of a champion, the heart of Art Shell literally was their leader. He was their rock. And so for me, I'm going to put honorary Hall of Famer Art Shell as the last honorary person. But there's so many HBCUs have a very rich history of sports figures, and there's so many that we can name. There's so many that don't get recognized on this show. We're going to be talking about the past, the present, and the future of HBCU. So you're gonna hear a lot of stories about a lot of different great players from HBCU. So get ready, get your notebooks ready, because you're gonna be educated.
We're here to stay.
Yes, we are here to stay. We are here to stay. So, brother, let's get into. Let's see. So. We talked about our top 5 greatest players. We talked about some recruiting tactics, I think, when it comes to HBCUs. But I want to get back into it. When it comes to this is our last point. So we talked about HBCU jump, but there is an issue potentially with when it comes to like scholarships. Why do you think that HBCU programs can't give the same amount of scholarships that bigger schools give? And do you think that alumni is it an alumni thing, or is it a philanthropy thing? Like, why do you think HBCUs just can't give out the same amount of scholarships?
It's about the almighty dollar. They don't have enough funds to go into school to give out that much money. It's a combination of everything for the alumni, school, the students, the networks. I break it down. The networks show HBCUs more. If the networks show HBCUs more, the more money they can put in the school. Like, we're gonna be on TV. The more the networks show the school more, the more money the students, the alumni will put in the school. Like, they're going to be on TV. I can't have my school looking like this. Mm-hmm. The more money you put in the school, the more money exposure you get. I can go to my hometown team and still be on TV and still get some ESPN camera time. So, and it's about broadcasting networks promoting like, I've noticed, right? What's it called? Saturday morning football, when you got Desmond Howard, Lee Corso,
Yep.
that crew, right? There's one more I can't mention. They, how about you go on an HBCU campus and broadcast? Like, we got football talent. You bring TV cameras there, the students are gonna show up because everybody in the world would love to be on TV. Love to say, "Mama, I was on TV."
Mama, I made it.
Mama, I made it. So
Yep.
I think once we figure out how to promote, how to gain more exposure, I think once you do that, the dollars will flow into the school and the more money they will have for scholarships. And then when you get more money for scholarship, the better players you can get, the championships you can win. When you win championships bring money. So it's a combination of all the sports realm working together for a school to have more money in the scholarship, for a school to bring in the top recruits.
I 100% agree with that. That was an excellent analysis, Derrick. Did you know that actually there was an HBCU broadcasting network back in the 90s that actually, did its job promoting HBCUs, but ESPN actually bought it. And when they bought it, they kind of broke it apart. And ESPN has like a radio deal with certain HBCU schools, but they don't have a TV deal. And I think, I wonder why that is. Why is it that there aren't TV deals for HBCUs? Could it be because ESPN actually has other deals? I mean, let's be honest about it. They have deals with the Big Ten, the ACC, and all these schools in the SEC. I mean, hey, look, why can't there be an HBCU program where they could have their own TV deals? I think it's because if let's be honest with you, it wouldn't be essential for an SEC or an ACC to have a program in HBCU because they lose kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. They definitely lose kids, but hey, man, I think it's enough kids in the world for it'll be enough kids in the world for those top schools to survive. What's five? Instead of getting 10 five-star athletes, the top school will still end up with like 4 or 5, and then they'll have to just really I think the big schools, once they start losing those 5-star recruits, they got to recruit and develop. I think the top schools are afraid to develop those 2 and 3-star athletes. 2 and 3-star athletes, they can get developed and turn into something special. I think just Pat Mahomes was like a 2-star, 3-star athlete. He went to a school that didn't win as much, but he went and developed his skills rapidly. You can do this for black kids. Let's develop these students rapidly. Just give them the tools that they need.
Yeah, man, I agree. I mean, you're right. There's a pie. I mean, there's more than just one slice. Everybody should get a slice of the pie. And I think you're right. It would probably even help an SEC or an ACC if an HBCU were to have a TV deal with an ESPN or Fox Sports. And I'm not necessarily saying that an SEC or an ACC has anything to do with an HBCU not having a deal with ESPN. I'm just saying that could be potentially a factor. But I also think it's a combination of, like you said, alumni and also people actually believing in HBCU schools.
Right.
I mean, I think there's when it comes to when people look at HBCUs and people look at PWIs, people still think PWIs are better than HBCUs. And the fact of the matter is that is not the case. Right. That is not the case. You see HBCU students excelling. You see HBCUs doing great things. I mean, the fact of the matter is we had a Supreme Court justice in America, Thurgood Marshall, who went to an HBCU. He didn't go to a predominantly white institution. He went to HBCU, and he was a part of the Brown versus Board of Education that allowed for a brother like me to go to a UNCG. You know what I mean? UNCG was a women's college. It was not a school that was open for different people, but then it allowed Black women first, and then it allowed men in as well. So I just think that I think it's a combination of both. And I think with more people believing in HBCUs, I think when our people believe in HBCUs, we'll see TV deals. Because I think it's got less to do with with people looking at the SEC and the ACC and saying, well, we'll lose players and stuff like that. I actually believe where our dollars go, people will see that. So when we support HBCUs, they'll be like, we're going to put out those TV deals.
Right, most definitely.
We're not just going to put them on radio. We're going to put them on TV. And then we'll see more kids wanting to go in HBCUs. And then we'll see SEC programs play against more HBCU programs. And that would be even more entertaining to see. I think that would be something that everybody would enjoy. But that's all we have for Bleav in HBCU. Derrick, you got any thoughts?
So continue to watch, hear us. We're just getting started. We're here to stay. I Bleav in HBCU. I'm with the two of them. I'm going to give you the greatest insight that I have to give. So is Tim McKain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Glad to be on the show with you, brother. That's all for Bleav in HBCUs.
We Bleav.
We Bleav. Peace, y'all.